we want to talk about a very, very prominent artist, a very prominent Rumba Congolese artist. He has, of course, made a name for himself. He's a maître in his own right. Who are we talking about? So we are talking about, wow, the one and only Pierre Evariste Djo Mandjeku Lengo, but commonly he's just referred to as Djo Mandjeku. Of course, it's a big name, like I said. If you talk about Djo Mandjeku and you forget to talk about his presence in the world of Rumba Congolese, you'll have missed the point by very, very, very many miles. So Djo was actually born on the 20th of August 1946 in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, from his childhood, he had a lot of interest in music. Never mind, of course, that he comes from a family that is, talented, musically speaking. His own brother was also a musical artist, and so background just helps to propel him onto the world. So he used to play, improvised guitars, makeshift guitars, and he would also sing along to those improvised guitars and tunes that he was doing, and that of course made him one of the renowned songwriters, arrangers, and of course guitarist. But we will be talking about that in just a moment. But I need to say at this point in time that one of the icons that really motivated Djo Mandjeku to get into rumba and especially to play guitar was Dr. Nico Mikalai Wakasanda. So he was actually his idol from the get-go, from the word go. So Djo turned into a proper artist when he was 18 years. That was around 1964, and that's after he met an expatriate, somebody who had come to work in their country, but who also had very good skills on the guitar. His name was Marshall van Brustegen. So this is the man that we can say really fine-tuned Djo Mandjeku into the world of music proper. I told you that his own brother, Moro Mandjeku, was also a guitarist, and so of course this gave him sufficient motivation, if you will. So Djo Mandjeku therefore gets a very good background. That first of all, he has strummed the guitar by himself, he has improvised and knows how to play the guitar. Number two, he has his own brother that is also a guitarist. And then number three, thanks to Marshall again, that they helped him to concretize his skills from his earlier years, his formative years, if you will. And not to forget again Tino Baroza, who also shaped, Mandjeku's thinking or interest in the world of music. But again, of course, we must say that Pierre Mandjeku Djo was a talented student. So he went to school. Actually, he went all the way up to Lovanium University in Kinshasa. So that is to say that he also went to school properly, and so that is why education found talent on the way, and so everything happened for the good for our artist of the day, Djo Mandjeku. But of course, again, there is a talk of Ray Lema and Paki Lutula. Now, Ray Lema is a very well-established artist. He is a multi-instrumentalist. This Ray Lema, he's been involved with so many artists. I'll have a day, of course, to discuss him and his music. So after interactions with Ray Lema and Paki Lutula, these two actually, we can say, sharpened the edges that are already forming for the young Djo Mandjeku. It is with that inspiration that he joins a band called Myosotis. And this band, there was also Vata Mombasa. Well, of course, Vata Mombasa is another very well-established rhythm guitarist. So the first formal band is actually Myosotis. And then, of course, from there, he moved on to Super Negro. Now, Super Negro was led by Jesken Dihunga. So this is now where Djo Mandjeku starts to form himself into a proper artist. Never forget also that from Super Negro, then he goes to Diama Blue, and here he interacts with a trumpeter called Pierre Masasi. These are all just trying to shape up our guy to become an artist of note. And so therefore we're just saying that after that, then in 1967, Djo Mandjeku joins Afro Succès, of course with Frank Nkodi, who was playing bass guitar, Paul Mansiamina Bopol, may God rest his soul in eternal peace, was also a multi-guitarist. He could play a number of guitars. Of course, there was Rex Elingo, there was Yosa Tuluki, Tino Mwinkwa, and the others. Of course, with the Lokombe Nkalulu. So this is Afro Succès. So it's now again just helping to form, the best for our artist. But then, of course, in 1968, a year later, he joined Jean Bokilo Isenge, and of course, Jean Bokilo Isenge's band was called Conga 68. Conga 68. Of course, at this point, he meets with Sam Mangwana and Governor Vangu. Wow. So these ones, they now move from there, and then they form Festival de Maquisard. So after Bokelo's Conga 68, then of course he joins, or they form Festival de Maquisard. And of course here is where you have big names, Sam Mangwana, Dalienst, of course. You know that at one point they will actually all end up in OK Jazz, but we'll talk about that. Lokomben Kalulu, and of course Sam Mangwana's brother Pascal Yiki Ladio. So these were actually guitarists in festival. These were vocalists in Festival de Maquisard. Sam Mangwana, Dalienst, Lokomben Kalulu, and Mangwana's own brother Pascal Yikiladio. Guitar, of course, there was Governor Vangu doing lead guitar. Djo Mandjeku was doing mi solo, or people like to say the second solo. Michelino Mavatiku Visi was on rhythm guitar, and of course these are extremely big names. Then there was, of course, Johnny Bokosa on bass guitar. So this band, Festival de Maquisards, came up with the big names, such as Georgina, that was composed, of course, by Dalienst. There was Kelete Mama Mapasa, and so on. So this band did well. Of course, it helped these young and upcoming artists. Remember that around this time, we also had the formal competition from the likes of Franco Luambo Makedi with his OK Jazz. Those days, there was Tabule, Rochero, and the others. So there was therefore a bit of a struggle really to get onto the fore. So in 1969, our band, Festival de Maquisards, toured Mbujimai, but of course they had a major disagreement, and that's why the band collapsed 1969. So in 1970, to be specific, on the 10th of October 1970, Gram Maquisard was created, and Djo Manu was of course given the mantle to play solo guitar in this band. And there were other members. That formed Gram Maquisard. Of course, like I've said, Djo Manu was on lead guitar. There was Nsingi Mageda on lead guitar as well. And he was actually a backup artist when Mandjeku was not available. There was Dave Makondele on rhythm guitar, Frank Nkodia on bass guitar. Vocalists, there was Dalienst Ntesa, Lokombe, and Kalulu. There was Kiese Dambu. There was Diane Simba. And then, of course, Yuma Michel was on saxophone. Jean-Marie Kabongo was on trumpet, and Domsis was on the percussion. So, of course, all these things are just helping to shape up Djo Manu into the artist that was. Now, unfortunately, again, Gram Maquisard did not last for long, and therefore, Djo, together with other friends of his, of course, Lokombe, Dave Makondele, Frank Nkodia, formed the band Kosa Kosa Orchestre. But of course, this band did not last for so long. And in 1975, Djo made a major move by joining Afriza International. This was Table's band. And of course, he went into Afriza to replace Mavatiku Michelino. Remember that they had an early interaction, but it's interesting that he gets into Afriza at a time when Mavatiku Michelino Visi was stepping out. Now in Afriza, he recorded a number of songs such as Mose Konzo, Leriti, Lisanga, Ngomba, Naya, Ekeseni. And if you remember Ekeseni, there was Lukasa Mbongo on rhythm guitar. Okay. In 1978, together with other members of Afriza, they decided to leave the group Afriza and momentarily formed the group Amide. But of course, they quickly transformed this into African All Stars. Now, this band, again, had up-and-coming artists. Of course, they had some of them are, of course, very well established in terms of skill sets, composition, and so on. So if you talk about Denis Lokasa, this is, of course, Lokasa Mbongo. May God rest his soul in eternal peace. If you talk about Philo Kola, Ringo Moya, Sam Mangwana, La Peugeot Voyageur. Of course, there was Theo Blaze, is a serious vocalist. And then there was also an artist by the name Roland Mvogo, who came from Cameroon. So in 1983, Djo returned to Kinshasa, and became the musical director of the band Neve Orchestre. So of course he was the artistic director. Now he recorded songs with the stalwarts such as Djo Manu, Diatho Lukoki, and others. And of course you will know that Djo Manu and Diatho Lukoki would at some point find their way into OK Jazz. Now in 1986, Djo Mandjeku joined TP OK Jazz of Grand Maître Luambo Luanzo Makedi, and he was in that band up to Franco's demise in 1989. So we're saying that Djo Mandjeku has been around. He's done so many exemplary works in the world of music. Just to give you some key dates, is that he is born on the 20th of August 1946 in Kinshasa. He joined Afro 6A in 1967. 1968 he joined Conga 68. In 1970, just after in 1969 there he was involved in the formation of Festival de Maquisard. Then in 1970 he forms Grand Maquisard. In 1975 he joins Afriza International. In 78 he forms Amide Orchestre, but then of course that quickly transforms into African All Stars. In 1983 he joins Neve Orchestre, and then of course in 1986 he makes that big move to join TP OK Jazz. So that's just part of really a short profile that Djo Mandjeku holds. So we leave it there for now. Now in the next video I'll be giving you the translation of the song that you can hear in the background, Saila. Thank you very much for watching.